With fall 2017 anime coming to an end, the winter 2018 anime season will begin soon. Today I'm going to be talking about the shows I'm going to be watching and what my expectations are for the shows. I'm first going to talk about sequels airing this season that I'm going to be watching, followed by the new shows that I'll be watching. With that being said, let's begin. First, we have the second season of the Seven Deadly Sins. It's been a while since I saw the first season, and I'm going to try to give a quick summary of the plot from memory, so I might be a little inaccurate. This is the shonen action show that focuses on warriors of a kingdom that were kind of disowned because they were set up to look like they were going to overthrow the kingdom. Eventually, the kingdom becomes in a state where it is being overthrown, and the daughter of the king named Elizabeth is seeking out the seven warriors, which are nicknamed after one of the seven deadly sins, in order to save the kingdom. The first season has some really awesome fighting and action scenes. I also really liked most of the characters, especially Sloth, who's just a lazy dude who flies around on a pillow and acts kind of arrogant. What was the weak point of the show for me was the story and comedy. The story in the first season is mostly typical stuff you would see in a shonen show. The comedy did get a bit repetitive and the jokes were hit or miss, but overall it was a show I enjoyed and I'm looking forward to watching more of. Next, we have Overlord Season 2. This was about a dude getting trapped in an MMO game while the servers were being shut down. He played the game a lot and was so OP in the world that he can do pretty much anything he wants. The story in the show is alright, so I don't know where it's really going, but it does keep me interested enough to continue watching the show. I found pretty much all the side characters to be annoying and didn't really care for them, but I do like the main character. He's just so OP and he knows it, and seeing him being arrogant in this world because of how strong he is something I enjoyed. I thought the show was just alright, but I know a lot of people who liked it way more than I did. Going into season 2, I'm just kind of expecting more of the season 1, and I'll be content with that. The next sequel I'll be watching is Psyche Season 2. This show is a comedy show that follows a high school student who has psychic and supernatural powers but just wants to live a normal, quiet life. The characters is what really makes this show great. There's this guy who's as dumb as a rock and who Psyche can't even read the mind of because he's so dumb. There's another student with the middle school syndrome who Psyche helped make his ego even larger because he made him use lightning one day and that just fed his ego. He's also obsessed with this evil organization he thinks exists called the Dark Reunion. That character is so good. I just love him so much. There's just so many hilarious characters in this show. Also, the fact that Psyche does pretty much anything he wants as long as it gets him his peace and quiet or sweets. Overall, the first season was hilarious and one of my favorite comedy shows, and I expect the same from season 2. Next, we have Gintama, the final season. This season will cover the Soul Silver arc of the manga, which is the current and final arc of the manga. Gintama is one of my top favorite anime shows of all time already. The story is great, the comedy is some of the best I've seen. Pretty much all the characters are fantastic, and this is just an all-around fantastic show that's a little bit of everything you want. This is going to be a bittersweet for me because for one of my favorite shows will be ending, but on the other hand, it's going to be an awesome final arc. The last sequel type of show is Fate Extra Last Encore. Now, this isn't exactly a sequel, but instead kind of an alternate timeline within the Fate franchise, sort of how like Fate Apocrypha and Fate Grand Order are in the main franchise you normally think of Fate. I don't know much about this particular version of Fate, but I've enjoyed pretty much every single Fate show to some degree so far, so I'm cool with more Fate. Hopefully it will be a bit better than Apocrypha, but I even did end up liking Apocrypha. Also, a quick note that this is done by Studio Shaft, which is like one of, if not my outright favorite studio, and their first time doing something in the Fate world, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. Moving on to the new shows, and the first one I'm going to be talking about is Violet Evergarden. And boy, the hype levels coming into the show are off the roof. This is done by Kyoto Animation, and the previews and promotional art for the show have been gorgeous and dare I say the best Kyoto has ever done before. Kyoto has done some amazing animation before from shows like Soundy Phonome and Hayoka, but man does Violet Evergarden take the cake. I can't justify how beautiful this show looks, so just go and watch the previews or even the first episode, and you'll see what I am talking about. I don't know too much about the story, but I do know that it won a grand prize for Kyoto Animation Award Program's Novel category. So if the story is good and the animation is as consistently as good as the previews and the first episode, we may have an anime of the year contender right here. The other new show that I have really high hopes for is Darling in the Franxx. This is a show done by both Trigger and A1 Studios. I've pretty much loved everything Trigger has done, from Kill la Kill to Little Witch Academia to even Kiznaiver, but I've had mixed feelings for shows A1 Studios have done. Hopefully A1 does not sort of drag down Trigger and they're able to make a fantastic show. The show is about these children piloting mechs called Franks in a world that has been destroyed and all of humanity has been pushed to a mobile fort city. The show looks like it's going to be Trigger's next big project after Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, especially since it's been confirmed to be 24 episodes. I'm really hoping this show is able to be on par with those, and I'm cautiously optimistic for this show. Moving on to the next show I'll be watching, which is Citrus. Now, this is a show I will say right off the bat I have low expectations for. It's a Yuri show about two stepsisters falling in love. Yep, that's all I know about it from a story perspective. The two sisters have attractive character designs, and with them being in a relationship with each other is all it took for me to give this show a chance. But hey, maybe the story will actually be a good romance story between them, but I don't have high hopes for it. The last show I want to talk about is Devilman Crybaby. This is one of the many Netflix original animes they plan to air this year, and if their other shows are as good as this one, then we are in for a treat this year. All the episodes are already out, such as Netflix does when they produce a show, and I've watched half of it so far and I've enjoyed it a lot. It follows a student named Akira who a devil tried to consume, but he's able to fight it off and have his heart remain human, thus making him half devil, half human. This is a show filled with some brutal action, and some of the fight scenes I've watched so far have been really intense and gory. The show isn't afraid to showcase its gore and darker themes, which is something I respect and like a lot. The animation and art of the show gives off a 70s to 80s vibe, which is when the actual manga was written. It just fits so well with the show that if they were to use a more modern art style, it would have felt wrong and out of place. The show does have some problems though. After watching half the episodes so far, I don't really know where the story's headed and what the goals of the main characters are. Also, some of the characters' decisions early on in the show don't make a lot of sense, such as Akira's friend Ryo telling him about a devil world and how Akira can easily become a devil if he tried to gain the devil powers. Akira just seems to be okay with everything Ryo has told him and doesn't really give the situation a thought by just blindly doing what Ryo tells him to do. Still, this has been a show that I've enjoyed and would recommend others to watch. This is what I plan to watch for winter 2018. Let me know in the comments what shows you're most excited for this season, and if there's something else I should be watching. Thanks for watching.